Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. Welcome to the Cricket Happening Show. This on a Monday, and on this Cricket Happening Show, I will be talking about the third day's play in the final Test match between the Australians and Sri Lanka, where Sean Marsh and Stephen Smith continued their good work. Which they were doing yesterday. They carried on in a very good vein as both notched up centuries. But one thing that I would like to say that this was the first time that Australia definitely looked the picture here, because they were really sailing so smoothly, I would say, with the score on 267 for 1. And after that, look at what happened. In a space of 112 runs, this Australian innings totally collapsed, as Rangana Herath was the chief architect of the damage that he created on the Australian batting order, as he picked up 6 wickets, and Australia were all out for 379, thus getting a 24 run lead in the match. And at stumps, they had actually nipped up the wicket of the night watchman who was sent in to bat today, Dilruwan Pereira, for 8. So they still have some good batting to come here, Sri Lanka, no doubt about it. I'll be talking about the match, and also definitely I think I'll be getting some time today, so we'll also have a look at some other cricket news. So, but just talking about the game here, day 3 here at the SSC ground in Colombo. It was, Sean Marsh and Stephen Smith resumed their innings from 141 for 1, and they really played very well. In fact, as I said, they carried on the good work that they did yesterday, as they negotiated the spinners very well. And it was there was nothing new. Basically, I would say they were getting closer to the ball. They were using the sweep shot to good effect, and it was good to see that they were doing very well. And Stephen Smith, as I said, this is the first time in this particular series that one could say that Australians have looked on the ascendant here, because this was a very big partnership, as it added a very valuable 246 runs, I would say. And this is also the highest second wicket partnership in Australia-Sri Lanka matches. And look at what happened now. Sean Marsh coming into the team has shown what an excellent player of spin he is, as he was in no trouble. He was really getting on with twinkling feet when it was coming to spin, and also he was definitely choosing the strokes to play, which was pretty good to see. At the other end, Stephen Smith, we all know what a wonderful player of spin he is. He also, in fact, it was Sean Marsh was the one who was more aggressive than Stephen Smith, but both went on to notch up centuries. And it looked like, they had already seen off the lunch session too, and they were really looking in command at that particular stage, when the score read 267 for 1, with both notching up centuries and at the crease. But then the wicket fell when Suranga Lakmal clean bowled Sean Marsh, but not before Sean Marsh made 130 with 19 very well hit boundaries, I would say. As I said, he really played very well. And after that, we saw once that wicket fell, once that pair was over, we saw just with only just 8 runs added. As often happens when in a huge partnership, the one partner goes, the other partner goes, and that's what precisely happened when Rangana Herath, who was out of the field for some time after hit on the groin, as you would remember yesterday, but today he came on and he totally started bundling up the Aussies. As first he forced Stephen Smith. I think. Let me talk about something very good that happened for Sri Lanka. Now, Kushal Pereira was the one who was actually keeping the wickets, and what was very good to see was that Kushal Pereira was so quick behind the stumps, as he whipped off the bails, even with probably Stephen Smith's leg probably hanging in the balance there. But as I said, it was some very quick work by Kushal Pereira, the wicketkeeper, definitely showing the dexterity as far as glove work was concerned, as he just whipped off the bails to see that Stephen Smith was short, and that was a big wicket for the Aussies, for the Lankans, as Stephen Smith was gone, stumped by Pereira off the bowling of Rangana Herath after making 119 with 10 fours and 1 6, and Marsh making 130 with 19 well-hit boundaries. After that, we had Adam Voges and Moises Henriques at the crease, and now Kushal Pereira once again showing amazing glove work here, as once again he was into business as he whipped off the bails. Moises Henriques disappointed, I would say. He was precisely selected along with Sean Marsh in this match to negotiate the spin, but Moises Henriques disappointed as he was stumped by Pereira. Once again, Kushal Pereira showing what a good glove man he could be. As I said, he was pretty quick with his whipping off the bails, and that's what he precisely did here to Moises Henriques, so the bowling of Herath for 4. And after that, it was a procession. It all started with Adam Voges LBW bowled Herath for 22 with 2 boundaries, but Mitchell Marsh stayed there, and Mitchell Marsh really took the Lankan spinners head on, and he started slamming boundaries at absolute will there. But the unfortunate part for Mitchell Marsh, even though he was really playing well, the problem area was that the other players who were supporting him couldn't do much, as Dilruwan Pereira picked up the wicket of Peter Neville, getting him LBW for 14 with 1 boundary. And then it was Dilruwan Pereira also getting Nathan Lyon's wicket for 3. And then Rangana Herath came up and cleaned up the tail with Hazelwood bowled by Herath for 0. Holland or Scott Matthews bowled Herath for 1. And finally, we saw Mitchell Marsh was also dismissed. He was also a victim of Herath, but not before making a very impressive 53 runs with 9 well-hit boundaries. And Mitchell Starc was not out on 9. And I would say Australia were sailing so smoothly at 267, and one probably thought that Australia might go on to probably in excess of maybe reach even 500 runs, and probably that would have been much better, but unfortunately that didn't happen. And nevertheless, one good thing that happened is psychologically, it is not a big lead according to me. It's only 24 runs, and 24 runs is not enough. We have seen Australia knows that they are the ones who are going to bat last on this pitch, and we all know this pitch is already turning. There is a lot of uneven cracks there, and the ball is turning, but now I think tomorrow and the 5th day probably the ball will start turning square. 379 all out, and the bowling, look at Rangana Herath. This is the 4th consecutive time that Rangana Herath has taken 6 wickets back against the Aussies. 38.1 overs, 11 maidens, 81 runs and 6 wickets. Let's talk about Rangana Herath. It's not only his bowling, even though he was hit on the groin yesterday by Josh Hazelwood. Look at the way he bowled. Not only that, and the way he actually shown himself on the field by actually grabbing the ball, swooping on the ball, diving away. I mean, for his age, I thought he did a splendid job. And especially considering that he was hit on the groin at this age, I thought Rangana Herath really deserves a lot of credit for his wonderful fielding and also for his good bowling. Well, we all know what a useful cricketer he has been for Sri Lanka over the years with the bat too. And Dilruwan Pereira had 2 for 129, Dhananjay De Silva 1 for 27. Sandakan was the only face that returned wicketless. 19 overs, no maiden, none for 70. One does not know whether the Australians seem to have a handle on Sandakan after looking at his videos. Probably it's too early to tell, because the real test for the Aussies against Sandakan is going to come on the probably coming on the tomorrow and day after, if at all Australia bat tomorrow. As I said, the ball is turning, and he being a Chinaman bowler, Lakshan Sandakan should be someone who could be quite deadly, and one could not really read into his bowling analysis now, which is 19 overs, no maiden, and I'm sure the Aussies are aware about that. Lakmal 13 overs, 1 for 54. Angelo Matthews 4 overs, 1 maiden, none for 5. And there's with the 24 runs lead, just a sort of a very slight psychological lead that they got of 24 runs. It was the Sri Lankans who had to play 5 overs before close of play on the 3rd day, and so they did not want to actually risk sending any good batsmen. So they decided that they won't risk Kaushal Silva and instead send Dilruwan Pereira to open the innings with Karunaratne. And Mitchell Stark got a ball which zipped in to claim Dilruwan Pereira, the night watchman, after hitting 2 boundaries. He started off in a flash, actually, Dilruwan Pereira, by slamming 2 boundaries, but that was it for Dilruwan Pereira, as he was LBW bowled Stark for 8 with 2 boundaries, and after that Kaushal Silva walked in, and after 5 overs the Sri Lankans closed at 22 for 1. Karunarathi was not out on 8 with 1 boundary. Kaushal Silva was not out on 6 with 1 boundary, and they will be resuming on the morrow. 22 for 1 is the score, so basically they have another 2 more runs to wipe off the arrears, and then they will start afresh. So, but as I said, it is the onus is on the Aussies once again, because the Aussies have to really pick up some quick wickets. They can't allow I mean, as you know, definitely tomorrow we are going to see some real changes, and one has not really seen the Aussie spinners in action. No, Nathan Lyon bowled, so definitely he bowled only 2 overs. So, but tomorrow he'll be getting a long bowl, and John Holland is there. So I think it's not going to be easy for the Lankans as well. But Australia have to guard that they are not allowing Sri Lanka to get plenty of runs, and that probably, if they get plenty of runs and probably get even, I think ideally, if I look at it, I think the Lankans, Aussies have to get the Lankans out probably for probably 150 odd. But I know it is pretty easy to say that. It's not going to be easy for them, because the Australians are the ones who are going to bat last on this pitch, and this pitch is bound to crumble. It's already crumbling, and it is going to crumble in a big way. And we all know that the Sri Lankan possesses a richness of spinners there, with the left arm spinner Rangana Herath almost like haunting the Aussies. Lakshan Sandakan, we know if he gets a track which is really turning, Sandakan can really cause havoc there. As I said, can't read into Sandakan's bowling figures in the first innings. And then Dilruwan Pereira was also been a very useful bowler. So I think the Aussies have their task really cut out. Their primary goal tomorrow will be to nip up wickets pretty quickly, which is not going to be easy, but they probably have to trust themselves and do that, because one thing I can very safely say, if at all the Sri Lankans are going to probably give a target of 200 to 250, even that is going to be pretty difficult to score on the last day with the amount of spinners, amount of effective and quality spinners that Lanka possesses right now. If it is any indication, if the 2 test matches that happened where the spinners ruled the roost is any indication, but definitely the Lankans will be hoping that they can get lots of runs, and the Australians would be aware that they are the ones who are going to bat last on this pitch. And we all know what is in store on this particular pitch at the SCC. So Australia, as I said, definitely have their task cut out. But what an interesting day's play coming up tomorrow at the SCC on the 4th day of the final test match. And Australia know that they have to see to it that they don't allow Lanka to actually whitewash them in the series. But as I said, right now I wouldn't really make any guesses, but it all depends on tomorrow's play as to what is the total at which the Australians can actually bowl out the Lankans. That is going to be the moot point, and only after that one could really say as to what would happen in this game. Well, all in all, it should be an engrossing game of cricket coming up tomorrow on the 4th day at the SSC. Please don't miss it. Well, I don't have anything else to really share. I'm just trying to see with the time left, if at all I can talk to you about any of the cricket news here. Well, one thing I can say before I go, that let's say that New Zealand are already in South Africa. They're going to play test matches. As you would remember, the first test match is starting in Durban on Friday at the Kingsmead Stadium. So it will be, and probably one of these days I will try to do a preview of the South Africa New Zealand. As you know, South Africa without their kingpin AB de Villiers, who has been rested, as you all know. So it should be an interesting series which is coming up. So as I said, New Zealand are already there in South Africa to play against South Africa. Well, dear fans and subscribers, that really puts a stop on this Cricket Happening show for today. And this is your host Ram, bidding good night. Thank you.